Hello, my name is Antonio Mubanco. Overconsumption and consumerism have become one of the biggest problems of the 21st century. Landfills filled with old clothes, bad labor laws, and even worse work environments are all a big part of using and abusing fast fashion. Let's dive into the problem and try to get to the bottom of how and why fast fashion became a staple of our lives.
To understand the causes and effects of overconsumption and consumerism, we firstly have to understand what those terms mean. Overconsumption is the action or fact of consuming something to excess, and consumerism is an economic theory that argues that the interest of a consumer should be the most important factor in a business transaction. There are a lot of factors that cause overconsumption and consumerism. For example, the pursuit of material wealth. It has a complex relationship with overconsumption, especially clothing. We live in a society where consumers are highly influenced by societal pressure and advertising, where the idea of having basically everything has led to a wasteful consumption culture. The rapid production of cheap clothing is advertised as seasonal and must-haves by brands encourages people to get their hands on everything. This idea of staying on trend has led to a lot of overconsumption. Overproduction is also a big part of the problem. The number of clothes the average consumer purchases has increased 60% between 2000 and 2014, and the clothes are only kept for half as long. To understand how fast fashion came to be at all, we have to take a look at the history. Before the Industrial Revolution in the 1800s, all clothes were handmade. Because they were handmade, they were expensive. Therefore, only the rich and elite could afford them. In the 1830s, a Frenchman named Barthélemy Thémonier invented the first sewing machine. At first, it was used to make uniforms for the French army. A few years later, when the sewing machine settled in, big textile factories started opening. Clothes were made really fast and cheap, and everybody could afford them, not just the rich and elite. In the 1990s, Zara coined the term fast fashion due to its fast production and cheap prices. In the 2000s, it started to become chic to pay less, whereas before, to be cool, you had to pay a lot of money for your clothes. With the internet, fashion became even faster, because you could cut out the middlemen, which were basically stores. That took a lot of time and money, because clothes firstly had to be shipped there. Online shopping became popular, and with COVID even necessary due to the fact that we couldn't leave our houses, but even that wasn't fast enough for the industry. So now that we understand what lies behind overconsumption and consumerism, let's take a look at one of the leading companies and retailers, SHEIN. The origin story of SHEIN is quite simple. It was founded in 2008 by Chris Xu in eastern China. SHEIN started out as a wedding gown company. Firstly, it was a dropshipping business, which basically means that SHEIN ordered these wedding gowns from other retailers and then sold it on their websites, making it an online middleman. Due to Chris's amazing marketing skills, in just a couple of years he managed to make a full-blown brand and independent retailer out of SHEIN. There are a lot of things on SHEIN, such as clothes, bags, and accessories. There are also a lot of dupes on SHEIN. In 2021, SHEIN's income was $100 billion. To put that into perspective, that same year, H&M made $20 billion, Pull&Bear made $2.1 billion, and Bershka made $2.4 billion. Now let's talk to an expert to see why he thinks SHEIN became so big and popular.
Definitely has the first move advantage by its big data analytics system, which enables pretty early identification of some trends emerging online. So I think that's one of the critical key success factors of SHEIN and also will keep it ahead of its competition. However, a lot of the marketing tactics that SHEIN uses are inspired by and very similar to Chinese fashion brands that are operating in the country. And so, if SHEIN were to target just the Chinese audience, it is actually a much more saturated market and wouldn't be able to compete in terms of speed and price like how it does compete in the West.
Big influencers have also attributed to the rise of SHEIN, with many collaborations, such as brand trips and paid ads. Another thing that made SHEIN as big as it is their technology. SHEIN uses a technology called real-life fashion, which uses an AI program which identifies and predicts fashion trends. Basically, if something is Googled a lot, SHEIN's program sees that and can make that item in a matter of days. A big downside to SHEIN is their labor laws. SHEIN's labor laws are very bad because people making clothes are severely underpaid and overworked. They work in sweatshops for just a couple of dollars a day. Now let's have a word with someone who has experience shopping on SHEIN.
Hello, my name is Sara and I'm a big fan of SHEIN. By the way, this top is from SHEIN. So first reason why I love SHEIN is because it has cheap and good quality clothes that is comparable with other brands on the market like Zara, H&M and Bershka. Another reason why I love SHEIN is because I can collect points by logging in the app every day and also by posting my reviews. And that way I can get a discount on my next order. Also, you can find anything you want on SHEIN. It has things like clothes, jewelry, makeup, bags, shoes, things for home, and another thing they have is clothes for men. So I'm aware of their unethical labor policies, but for me as a consumer, it's not my first concern. When I buy clothes, most important things to me are things like price and quality, and that's what I can get on SHEIN.
Unfortunately, waste occurs at every single stage of the garment manufacturing process, harming wildlife, polluting water and soil, and degrading land. Fast fashion owes much of its success to cheap synthetic fossil fuel-based fibers such as polyester. Polyester production has increased from 20 million tons in 2000 to 60 million tons in 2018 and is expected to exceed 90 million tons by 2030. In 2015, polyester production was responsible for 700 million tons of carbon dioxide, which is equivalent to the emission of 180 coal-fired power plants in a single year. Animal-based textiles are responsible for greenhouse gas emissions, water pollution, and widespread habitat loss from deforestation. The companies which produce cheap clothing are more often not based in low-income countries where workers, mostly women, work in dangerous work conditions.
So with all the causes and problems established, we have to ask ourselves a question. What can we as consumers do to lessen the effect of fast fashion? You can, for example, go secondhand shopping. You can rent clothes online or in real life. You can also organize clothing swaps with your friends. You can go shopping in your own closet because you never know what kind of hidden gems lie in there. In the end, it's not the responsibility of consumers to shoulder the blame for the waste generated by fast fashion. Rather, it lies mostly with the big companies driving the industry.